All right. Okay, so I'll just do this bit again now we're recording. Just move this out of the way. So what I'm now going to do is put a feather on the selection. You can do this on any selection. Go up to select and mask, and brings up the feather.
Where is select and mask?
Up the top. Hang on. I'll show you again. Along the top line, there's select and mask.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Thanks.
And then all I'm going to do is put a bit of a feather on that. Just a few pixels. Make that a bit softer. And then we'll hit OK. And we've now got that selection. So what we now want to be able to do is to adjust everything that's inside that selection. So we go down here to the circle that's half black, half white, which lets you put an adjustment layer in. So you just click on that and you get a choice of all sorts of different adjustment level options. The one I almost always use is levels because I find it very useful. And then up here in the properties box, you see the levels palette. And what we can do here is change the midpoint. So with the two left-hand sliders, you can bring out that sky as much or as little as you like. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, indeed.
All right for that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so that's improved that sky somewhat. So the other thing that we want to do is to sort out this field, make it a bit brighter. So there's numerous ways. You could do this manually with the quick selection tool. So if I go back and select the background, get the quick selection tool, and the size of the quick selection tool you can change with the square brackets. Okay, so left-hand square bracket makes it go smaller, right-hand square bracket makes it go larger. So if I zoom in, the quick way to zoom is to press and hold the Alt key and then use the mouse cursor, the mouse wheel to zoom in. And just make that. So what I can do now, the quick selection tool will do quite a good job here because it, as soon as you click on something, it then assumes everything that's that shade or that color you want to select. So it's done that. Now, I'm going to do over this side as well, the other side of the hedge, but I don't want to do the hedge. So if I press Shift and do it, it will add to that selection without going over the hedge. So that's not a bad job just for a demo. I'll just go in there. So I can do the same again. I can go to select and mask and just put a bit of a feather on that so it's not too hard a line. And click OK. So now what we can do is another adjustment layer. So we go down to the bottom and we could do it with levels again. So now when I alter the levels, all I'm going to do is alter that field. And I just want to make it a little bit brighter. If you want to see the effect, you can just turn it on and off to see what you've done. I've actually made it darker. So okay. Let's see how that is. Losing its saturation, isn't it? not really working well. Let's try pulling in the top. That might be better. Let's try that. It might be a bit exaggerated, but we'll give that a go. So if we zoom out again now. So the other thing that I'd want to do to make that field stand out a bit more is to darken the foreground. So I would probably do another quick selection tool and go across here. So now I've got all of this lot selected. I can just push this up a bit. And now I can do another adjustment layer. And I'll do levels again. And this time I should be able to just darken down the foreground a bit. So that field starts to look more and more as though it's got the sun on it, which is the effect I was trying to create. So if you look at what we've done so far, we've gone from that to that. Just by doing those, so you can see you can do those adjustments really quickly. And we've got these 3 adjustment layers down at the bottom right-hand side, doing the separate parts of the image. And the great thing about the adjustment layers is you can go back and do them again. So you can go in, every time you click on that layer, you get a new graph appear up the top here, or the histogram, so you can go and tweak it. So you can keep playing around. And if you've missed something in your selection, so let's think of something that I've missed. So say I wanted to get that tree in, whoops, for that. So, because I deliberately missed that tree in the middle when I darkened it down, but I could add that by selecting the mask, which I've done in the bottom right-hand side here, and painting on the mask. Now, if you look at the mask, everything that's white is being affected by that adjustment layer. Everything that's black is not. So if I paint white, if I change that to white, and I go over to this tree, and if I zoom in, press the Alt key and roll the mouse wheel, get a paintbrush, make it a bit smaller. What I can do, you can see as I'm painting, that tree's going darker.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's because I'm bringing it in with the with that adjustment layer. So it means you can easily go along afterwards and add things into your selection that maybe weren't there in the first place. So the great thing about making these adjustments using layer masks and layers is you can keep going back and tweaking, because very often after you've done a lot of editing on a picture, you'll look at it at the end and you'll say, I think I overdid that bit, and you want to go back and change it. And the beauty of doing it with layers is you can. And you can also, if you go to the eye icon at the left of each layer, you can turn each one on and off to see the effect that it has, and whether you like it or not, whether you need to change it. So there we go. That was about as far as I wanted to go tonight. Any questions on that? Is that any use?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very
Well, give it a go.